Hey, got it? Yeah, yes.
To give you a hug from your main squeeze. She said you would know who that was.
Okay, remind me. Okay,
Okay, Mary Ellen.
okay,
She just became a great grandmother, by the way.
okay. Hey, Steven, how you doing? See you. Love you too. Good, light good, everything good. Okay, good. Y'all, let me tell you, if y'all get stuff to tell me while I'm doing lights, just if you just hang on till after, because I'm not retaining what you're saying, and I know you think I'm not listening, but I'm in the middle of something, so I will. I'm much better afterwards when you tell me your stuff, and then I can remember because you'll come up next week. You remember that thing I told you last week, and I'm like, who are you again? Because I just. All right. Hey, bud. I remember you. We thought the Christians had backslidden, but they've been getting their daughter settled in it's New York, right? And then Judah's at a church in Conyers today, right down the street from them. They were tempted, but they bound it and they came on anyway. Because I would have, if it was my son, I would have allowed it. It would have been fun. All right, much better. Hey guys, thanks for changing the lights, and it's all good. We're just I, those of you that are logging on, we'll get officially started in just a moment. Um, as I have told you since from the beginning, uh, trying to get the lighting in here is, I mean, it's a challenge because you want to see the screen and you want to see people. And if you've ever done a camera, the camera tries to focus on one of two things. So we're trying different things. I'm not sure those we were trying a minute ago are going to work. I mean, I could get some really good sunglasses and wear, but anyway, it's all good. Um, as I posted this morning, it's been an intense week. Lots going on. Just a lot. I saw many of you Tuesday at Saunders' service, and Doss's brother-in-law passed day before yesterday, and lots been going. I saw Mr. Neal this week. When people ask me, "What do you do during the week?" I'm like, "Nothing, not a thing. It's just it's easy." Um, but and then not the least of which, of course, is the what's happened in Paris, and the world is it's a global community. So what happens uh, in one country affects us, and Americans were in that attack. And um, as I posted today, I don't have a lot to say about it right now. I mean, everybody, as it was happening, people are online with their agendas, and I thought, I can't. I just want to do a moment of silence right now. James says, "Be quick to hear and slow to speak." For me, it's too early to be pushing your political agenda or your theological agenda or trying to convince somebody that you prophesied it or whatever. I don't. That's that's not important to me. What matters to me is, my God, they're identifying bodies right now, and just wait on the stuff you got to say. And I don't want to bring the room down. I'm saying it because I really wanted to see you today. I'm dressed like this. You never thought I'd wear a collar to Metron. The reason why is I know some of y'all saw me in a collar Tuesday. it's not that I'm reverting to that. It's just we're leaving here and then we're going to the service at Rehoboth, and those people, they clerical out. They they wanted me to be part of the processional today, but I thought I'll do a collar. I ain't doing a robe. I can't. I gotta draw the line. But that's but in a way it kind of feels appropriate today. I just um, I don't know, for whatever reason. I'm glad that you're here, and it's time to get started. Let's go ahead and I want to get it to where this just starts us off. I'm not going to do this open anymore, but we're figuring out how to do that right now. So uh, none of that just happened. Those of you that are logging on, you're just now seeing it. You can hit that. I love this music. Good morning. Welcome to Metron community. Mwah. I'm glad that you're here. All of you beautiful people who are connected with us through the World Wide Web, we welcome you as well. I see Das already found a chant to do with this one, so it's good. I like. I know you've enjoyed our Artist of the Month. I love when Spirit orchestrates these things, and it seems like every month that we've been here, the right person has been at the right time. And with Chelsea, it's no exception. And I loved everything she did last week. And one thing I posted today, I said, it's been quite a week for all of us, and there's nothing like just hearing some good music to soothe your soul and chill you out, and get you in touch with music. Does something that's indescribable. It connects you with another dimension, and she just innately understands that. And from a technical side, I think she's as good as anybody I've ever heard. I mean, she really is really that. I like the way she interprets songs and honors them, but also makes them her own. It's very, very cool. So I will stop talking and give her more time to do what she came to do. Would you please welcome Chelsea Shag? Chelsea.
Hello. Good morning. How you doing? Good. Okay, we're good. We just gotta get that one pop through. You can sit down if you'd like. This first song is about chilling. It's called Hang Loose. Don't worry, sweet baby. Don't you ever worry about a thing. Keep them worries on the shelf. Learn to love yourself. Don't be your own worst enemy. Hang loose. Let the ocean worry about being blue. Hang loose. Roll with the tide and I'ma take care of you. Come with me, sweet darling. I got another ticket for a plane. We're gonna ride to Waikiki, be just you and me. And we'll hit the sun, but there's a way. Hang loose. about being blue. Hang loose, hang loose. Roll with the tide, and I'ma take care of you now. Alright, we're gonna be alright. Said it alright, we're gonna be alright. Hang loose, hang loose, hang loose, hang loose. Thank you. So like Jim said, strange things have been happening, and it's been a really heavy week. So I'm really happy to be playing songs here for you tonight. I had a strange dream last night that zombies were coming, and everyone had to like throw away their pumpkins in order for the zombies not to come. It was like just like everything going on the way my subconscious translates it. It's like, what? What? So this morning feels a lot lighter. I'm gonna play this song by Mr. Stevie Wonder. La 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 la. Ma chérie, moi, lovely as a summer day. Ma chérie, moi, distant as a Milky Way. Ma chérie, moi, pretty little one that I adore. You're the only girl my heart beats for. I wish that you were mine. In a cafe, or sometimes in a crowded street. I've been near to you, but you never notice me. My chérie boy, tell me how could you ever ignore how behind the little smile I bore? I wish that you were mine. La 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 la. Maybe someday you'll see my face among the crowd. Maybe someday you send another distant down. Oh, chérie boy, pretty little one that I adore. You're the only girl my heart beats for. I wish that you were mine. La 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 Thank you. May I get my guitar turned up a little bit, please? Cool. Well, I got something a little playful for you. It's an old song. It goes a little something like this. I rolled my bicycle past your window last night. I roller skated to your door at daylight. It almost you're avoiding me. I'm okay, Lord, if you got something I need. Well, I've got a brand new pair of roller skates and you got a brand new key. I think we should get together and try them out to see. I've been looking around the world, you got something for me. Oh, I've got a brand new pair of roller skates and you got a brand new key. I asked my mother if you were at home. She said yes, but you weren't alone. Oh, sometimes I wonder, traveling all around the world. Some people say acting all right for a girl. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. I got a brand new pair of roller skates and you got a brand new key. And I think that we should get together and try them out to see. La 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 la. Oh, I got a brand new pair of roller skates and you got a brand new key. And you got a brand new key. And you got a brand new key. Thank you. That's not sweet. Man, back in the day.
Before you were born.
Yeah, man. That was a while ago. 23 and a half now. Oh, God. Maybe you should throw this away. Just kidding. Just kidding. All right. All right. This last song goes a little something like this. And you're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. You be like heaven to touch. I wanna hold you so much. At long this love has arrived. And I thank God I'm alive. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. But in the way that I stare, there's nothing else to compare. The sight of you leaves me weak. There are no words left to speak. But if you feel like I feel, please let me know that it's real. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. I need you, baby. If it's quite alright, I need you, baby. So on my lonely nights, I love you, baby. Just to me when I say okay. Oh, pretty baby, don't let me down, I pray. Oh, pretty baby, now that I found you, stay and let me love you. Just to me when I say okay. You're just so good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. You be like heaven to touch. I wanna hold you so much. At long last love has arrived. And I thank God I'm alive. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. I need you, baby. If it's quite alright, I need you, baby. To all my lonely nights, I love you, baby. Trust in me when I say okay. Oh, pretty baby, don't let me down, I pray. Oh, pretty baby, now that I found you, stay and let me love you. Trust in me when I say okay. And you're just too good, too good, too good. You're just too good, too good, too good. And you're just too good, too good, too good. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Y'all have a great time today. I appreciate it.
Chelsea Shag. Excellent, excellent. Once again, thanks, sweetie. She'll be back next week. And you may be seated. You know, when there's been so much hate in the world, it's nice to hear some love songs, just some songs about people being nice to each other and loving each other and caring for each other, that sort of thing. I'm not sure. Do we have some first timers? I don't usually recognize first time. Y'all, but first time. Glad that you're here. We don't have anything to give you. We used to. I used to give a packet. We're just glad you're here. Next Sunday, this is what we decided to do. We were gonna try to do platters and that kind of stuff, but it's just I'm maxed out on planning stuff. So we're just gonna walk next door. You can order. We've done it before. It's easy. You don't even have to eat anything. You can. You don't have to. You can get something to drink. We don't care. We just want you to show up. So we'll just walk over there, and that room's very special. We've had some of the best times of my life have been in that room. Just when we take communion in there, the presence of God would be strong in there. We've had fun, and so I'm sure next week will be no exception to that. This afternoon, we'll be going over to. They just started the church, but it's actually the installment today. Bishop Flunder will be there, and several people from TFAM. I don't know. I don't know if any of you want to go. I'm not even sure where it is. I got to look for the address. Is the address on that poster? I think. What does it say? Mount Maynard Terrace, Southeast. What does that say? 816 Maynard Terrace, Southeast. What in the world did we do before GPS? I'm sure GPS alone is going to add 5 to 7 years to my life, just because it alleviates stress. I even put it on sometimes when it's a place I know where I'm going, because sometimes there's a better way to go, and I'll think, why is it taking me this way? And I think, you know what, this is a better way. I would have never thought about going this way. So, just love it. Last night, it's actually some guys that are interested in coming here. They're out of town today, but they wanted to talk to us first. And I knew generally where we were meeting them, but not specifically. And put that GPS on. We were there before they were. We're like, what's up? So anyway, if you want to go, that's at 3:00 today. I'm not speaking. I may have something to say. I don't know, but I'm sure Bishop Flunder probably will, and she's always she always has something worthwhile. Troy Sanders is a good guy. He was, as I told you, I didn't realize we went so far back, but when he used to be at Beulah Heights, when I used to go there and speak every year, he was the valedictorian of his class. And so I didn't realize we had a connection that far back, but really good guy. And, it's not necessarily my mode of church and worship anymore, but I totally respect it. And I know there's a lot of people that, they want that. They want the choir and the praise team cranking for hours. And I get it. Been there, done that, paid for it everything. I produced it. When you produced it for 30 years, now you just want to go, I'm going to go to the theater and just have a nice artist of the month that comes in and easy and peasy. Or I could just say, here's a nice check, and I could contract people and 1099 them at the end of the year, and I have to pay payroll taxes. Am I telling you too much? Some people say, why don't you have a children's church? Well, see, I like just walking in. I love your kids. Bring them. We got kids here today. Kids are sophisticated today. They can sit in the movie theater for an hour. What the heck? You need coloring books. So I don't know if it's going to work out. Ken's trying to work it out to bring his little granddaughter here. A week from Sunday? So we got to coordinate. He'll be on call. So we got to, we're not promising anything, but he already bought her a dress and everything. And I don't know how we'll work that out, but we're like, well, we'll wing it somehow. Take her to Santa Claus and get her picture taken. Like I said, I don't know if we're going to work that out schedule wise, but that's the plan. We're putting that out in the universe right now. That's what we would like to happen. So there won't be any nursery to take her to. You're in a theater. Y'all know you're in a theater. I did put it out there last week. I'm not opposed to eventually having a building again, but I don't want to build anything, and I don't want a church. We went over to Virginia Highland last Saturday night, and it's so beautiful. It's just beautiful. But that's not what I want. And so we'll put it out there in the universe, and people keep asking me, what would you do if somebody just came and gave you $5 million? Well, I guess I'll call Eldridge and say, what can we do with this? He just like, please don't, Jesus, please don't call me again. I love you and all, but I don't think I can do one more building for you. Come on, Eldridge, you got one more in you, right? Bless his heart. When we moved to Covington, he came out and totally transformed that place for us. Well, then when we moved, we're like, hey, Eldridge, remember that time you came and totally transformed the building? Well, they need it back the way it was. Can you come back? And he's like, okay. And when we did the walkthrough with the owner of that building, he said, I can't believe y'all did. He said, this looks like you were never here. And I said, because we're the best, baby. Anyway, who knows what may happen in the future, but it's all good. Don't forget to have on your in your schedules about December the 16th. I think, what did we finally say? 7 or 7:30? What was our last word? What does that say? That says 7. Okay. I think we have the building from 7 to midnight, I believe. And Ernie was asking me exactly where it is. It's if you're familiar with Ponce de Leon, it's Ponce de Leon, where Ponce City Market is now. That used to be the Sears building. It's across the street from that. It's in a place called Paris on Ponce. It's a club that's in Paris on Ponce. So what we're going to do is, and we're contracting with valet parking because there's very limited parking there, and you'll just be. Trust me, you'll want to valet. It'll be so easy, and all you'll need to do is tip the guy a couple of dollars. But you'll walk through the place, a very hip place. First of all, you walk through a like an art gallery, and then you walk through. It's kind of like one of these places. It's more sophisticated than a flea market, but it's a lot of these antique vendors. Like any of you that like quirky furniture or antique furniture, you might want to walk around and look, because it's really some of the coolest stuff you've ever seen. It's cool. It's laid out very cool. So you can walk all through that. The club is in the store. It's called Maison Rouge. It looks like something out of New Orleans. It's all like red crushed velvet, and it's really it's very cool. And we're not doing a sit down dinner this year because that way, those of you that are coming at different times, you're not going to be under any pressure to be there at a specific time. But it's what they call heavy hors d'oeuvres. I mean, for $20 you're going to get a lot, and I'm charging $35 for a couple, and it's going to be really cool. And yesterday we were at the mall, and they had this trio of guys playing Christmas carols in Bloomingdale's. Oh my God, I haven't ruled out possibly finding out how much it would cost to get them, because I don't even know their names, but they were amazing. But we'll see. It'll be whatever it is. It could be really cool, and they're going to have it open so you can walk right out on the belt line there. And you can even, if you're interested, you can just walk right down the belt line, cross the little bridge there, and walk into Ponce City Market if you want to see what that looks like, because it's all right there. And I'm sure, knowing me, I'll give you a little bit of a Atlanta history lesson, because that area. The reason it's called Ponce de Leon is that there in the Fourth Ward Park, there's a spring, a natural spring, that people back in Victorian times used to come there, because it used to be a real trendy thing to go to, where there were natural springs like Hot Springs, Arkansas, that sort of place, and people believed they had medicinal value. So there used to be an amusement park there that developed. Then for years it was the city dump, and then back in the 20s there was actually a lake there. Like, if you know, the road that's by Eats there, it's called Lakeview. It's because there used to be a lake. They dried that up, and then they put play before Atlanta bought the Braves in '65. So there's so much history there. And if you've never been on the Beltline, it's really, really cool. It's the bed of what used to be the railroad tracks going through there, and eventually it'll go around the entire circumference of Atlanta. If you look at the Ponce City Market, the part that of the building that's higher than everything, it looks kind of like a tower. It's actually a pump. They provide all their water right off the spring there, and it's cool. They've totally redone all of that area. Is having a renaissance, and I've lived here so long. I've had 4 complete different scenarios there, like where the CVS is now. I remember when the first Denny's in Atlanta was there, when Denny's actually was kind of a cool place to go. And there used to be a store there where now is the parking lot called Arlen's, where I bought my first rock and roll album that I hid from my parents because I want to miss the rapture. But so anyway, it's very near and dear to my heart, and you're gonna love it. It's gonna be cool. And that is on December the 16th, I believe. You got it? All right. As I said earlier today, my word today is simple, and I'm just going to be out of the scriptures today. I don't feel obligated to always be out of the scriptures, but sometimes they really are cathartic for me, and that's what I know. I know my way around that space. And this month we're talking about self-discovery. And I've referred to David a lot. The actual title, of course, is The Spirit of Truth, Finding Success on the Journey of Self-Discovery. We're talking about truth in the inward parts. And as you know, in the last couple of weeks, I've referred to David a lot. David was very transparent. David was the opposite of Adam and Eve. You know, when Adam and Eve had the concept of falling from grace, their first instinct was to hide themselves. They heard God walking in the cool of the day, and they hid themselves. Why did you hide yourself? God asked them. They said, because we were naked and we were afraid. Who told you were naked? So much of religion, and you know, I don't want to just beat up on religion today, but even all this mess with ISIS and everything, you can trace it back to religion. It's religious ideology of legalistic people who take their holy writ fundamentally, absolutely, literally true. And when there's conflict between one holy writ and another holy writ, then there's war. I'm not saying all wars were started because of religion, but possibly a majority of them were. At least a great number of them were. Religion isn't totally bad. Religion has brought a lot of great things to the world, but it's brought a lot with it that's not good. But so much of religion is hiding from God. I've told this story for years, but one of the first places I ever lived in Conyers, when we had the church, there was a guy that lived he lived next door to us. And so when I was out in the driveway, we ended up talking to him, whatever. And the church was kind of really growing at that time. And so one day I just invited him. I said, "What?" I said, "You ought to come. I don't know if you go to church anywhere, but come visit sometime." So he did. He came the next Sunday, and he participated. He gave in the offering. He was there. And then he never came back. So I didn't want to say anything about it really. But one day we were both out in the front yard, and I said, "Hey, I really appreciate you coming that day, but I never saw you again." He said, "Man, God is just too much in your face in that place. He said, it's just too much. It's just too much God. And, at the time I said, well, isn't that kind of the point? And he said, no. Like I said, I like going somewhere where you just sing and stand up and sit down and get out of there. He said, with you, it's like, I said, I don't know what to make of that. Some people love the presence of God. Some people have got issues and they run from it. And so that's why I try to keep the environment here light and breezy and make everybody feel welcome. But I'm saying all that to say David was the opposite of a hider. He was always, no, I want to be transparent. Search me, try me. You desire truth in the inward parts. Look inside of me. I'm not hiding from you. I'm not even trying to justify myself. I want to know what makes me tick. Now you can become so self-absorbed with why you do everything that you can drive yourself crazy. Why do I do that? Why do I do that? Why do I eat that? Why do I say that? That can, sometimes you just do what you do. Or sometimes, I took my dad for his post-op today. He's fine. He's virtually had no pain. It's been great. Thank you for your prayers. But we went to, I took mom and dad to lunch afterwards, and I'm looking at him and I thought, I really am. I mean, I'm so different from y'all, and I'm sure mom's probably watching right now. I'm so different from y'all, but I am from y'all. I mean, I can see my differences, like when I come in their house, they scramble to turn off Fox News and like, turn off Fox News before he gets it. They're afraid they're gonna get in trouble. And they won't turn it all the way over to MSNBC, but they will turn it to CNN. I'm like, y'all, I don't care. It's your house. Watch what you want to house. Watch what you want to watch. But so I am different from them. But then I am so as you get older, don't you? One day you look in the mirror, you're like, well, hey, there's my dad. Okay, I didn't know. And it's funny because even Judah the other day, where were we? Somebody said something to him, and Judah said, yeah, I'm starting to get a head like dad's. I said, what do you mean? He said, I don't know. I'm just filling out, and I'm starting to. I said, well, what can I tell you? It's DNA for you. Yeah. And what's wrong with my head, by the way? What's up with that? I got a pretty head. You better watch what you say, child. But you can overthink why you do certain things. When we get introspective and start, looking at ourselves, there's the question: is it nature? Is it nurture? And the answer is it's both. Any of you that have had more than one kid know that they kind of came in not fully formed, but they kind of came in with their own personality. I know with my four, you couldn't discipline them the same way because one would respond like with Jared when he was little. If I threatened to spank him, he would straighten right up. When I threatened to spank Christina, she like bring it, like she went. And I realized spanking's not going to work for this child because we're going to be, she's going to challenge me, and I'm, I don't want defects taking her away from me or something. So we got to come up with another way to discipline her. But then you take that DNA and you modify it. It's affected by circumstances. I know there are things that are just innately in me, and then I'm not even considering the call of God. That's a whole other thing that shapes you. But then the people that you meet and the people you knew growing up, your parents, whatever, all those voices in your head, they do affect you, and you have to decide how much you're going to yield to change. And not all change is bad. And I can think of different people in my life that definitely added something to me. Like I remember the thing that they gave me, and some of them were just seasonal. Not everybody goes the entire distance in your life, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Some people come into your life for a while, for a reason, and once that mission is accomplished, they move on. And it's unlikely that you're going to have super close friends the same ones your entire life. I mean, you go through seasons and that sort of thing. So I'm saying all that to get you set up for Psalm 139. And I'm going to go quickly through this chapter in the message. And look what he says here in the first part of it. This is where the King James says, "Search me, O God." It's what we used to do a song. Remember, "Search me, O God, and know my thoughts, I pray." And we used to kind of sing it as find out if we need to repent for anything. We got to get it right. We got to, it was always this idea that God's not pleased. I've been listening to Christmas music this week, and one of my least favorite songs is "Santa Claus is Coming to Town" because it's so accusatory. The opening lyric is, "You better watch out." I'm like, you know what? Santa, that doesn't work for me. And furthermore, he sees you when you're sleeping. That's definitely got a creep factor into it. Like, what is up with you? You see me when I'm sleeping. You know when I'm awake, and now I'm under this pressure. I got to be good for goodness sake. You better not cry. You better not pout. Well, excuse me, Santa. Sometimes a good cry or a little pouting is actually appropriate. So you're telling me that I could be penalized, because my God, you're watching me. He sees you when you're sleeping. Yikes. He knows when you're awake. Okay, I get it, Santa. Lighten up. He knows if you've been bad or good. Well, guess what, Santa? Everybody's been bad and good. So it'll be good for Santa. Go back to the North Pole. You were working my last nerve. But that's kind of the Jesus I grew up with. You know what I mean? He's watching. He's coming as a thief in the night. There was always a gotcha factor to it. And for me, at a certain point, and up until this morning, people could say, well, World War III starting. Well, my God, I hope it's not. But if it is, I guess I'll deal with it when it gets here. And what's the end of the world? Well, if it's the end of the world, then I need to make today as awesome as it could be. If it's my last day on there, I cannot. When you grew up living in that, you reach a point where you're like nothing else scares you. And, if you say, well, you better repent, because of all the things happening in the world, I'm like, I don't see things that way. There are definitely bad things in the world. I'm very aware of them, but I don't connect the dots that, it's reacting to something. Because if that's the case, then I want to know, how in the world did God not destroy America through centuries of slavery then? Because I think slavery was very evil. If our actions were affecting that, then how did God turn a blind eye to that? There's always been stuff that's going on. I do believe in cause and effect. I do believe in karma. All that kind of stuff. But when it comes to all that fear and all, if that's where your head's at, namaste. I just can't go there with you. And if you think that's having my head in the sand, then think whatever you're going to think. But I don't conduct my life that way. So what I see here is when David is saying, "Search me, O God," that's a very confident statement. He's not saying, "Find out what's wrong with me." He's saying, "Go ahead, put me under a microscope. If there's something that needs to improve, tell me about it." That's not a low self-esteem statement. That's a highly confident man saying, "I am secure enough for you to shine the light on me and search me and see if there's something that needs to be improved, then I'll improve it." Last week we referred to Psalm 51 where he repented about the thing with Bathsheba. And what's amazing to me about that chapter is he ends by saying, "Then I'll teach transgressors your way." In other words, he says, if anything, this episode with her has given me more clout. I have more to say. Instead of, if somebody is shame-based, they would be like, "God, I got no business saying anything to anybody." David didn't think that way. He's like, "Yeah, I did something really, really horrible, and I learned from it." That's awesome when you can own it and you're not always in defense mode. And somebody says, "You did so and so." I'm like, "I sure did, didn't I? Isn't that amazing that I did that?" And okay, I'm good with it. And so here he says, "God, investigate my life. Get all the facts firsthand. I'm an open book to you. Even from a distance, you know what I'm thinking. You know when I leave and when I get back. I'm never out of your sight." That's where he says in King James, "You know my down sitting and my uprising." You know everything I'm going to say before I start the first sentence. I look behind me and you're there. You say, well, that sounds like Santa Claus seeing when you're sleeping. No, this isn't spoken with a ultimatum. This is him saying, I know you see everything and I'm not hiding anything. I'm not on some merit system that you're going to see something that's going to disqualify me. Do you know why there is so much conditional love in the world? Because people don't believe God loves them unconditionally, and they certainly don't love themselves unconditionally. Even, and we talked about this last week, but even being quick to forgive somebody else but not forgiving yourself, there's something intrinsically wrong with that. You should forgive other people, but you should also forgive yourself. I can look back at things in my life and think, well, I didn't do everything right, but I did all right. I mean, I did the best I could with what I had to work with, and sometimes I made mistakes, but a lot of times I rose the occasion. And so, it's okay. The hand of God is on my life, but I'm also human. And it's important that you say that, because the modern Christian church has become so intolerant of imperfection that, people say they love you. If they find out one thing that they disagree with you, suddenly they sever ties with you. That's ridiculous. That people out of the church don't do that. But in church world, it's like, oh, well, you can't, like, even, and if she's watching, I'm not offended, but let me say, a pastor inboxed me yesterday and said, I love the thing that you wrote on Facebook. May I use it on my page, but not say your name? Because there are people that wouldn't understand me quoting you. And, I said, sure, whatever, but people don't realize how insulting that is. But I know what she's saying is, I'm a pastor, and if I'm cool with you, then I may be penalized. I'm like, well, then don't be friends with me and don't put my quote. Get your own quotes. Say your own stuff. That's why if you go out to dinner with me, I'm gonna take our picture together and put it on Facebook. And if you're squeamish about that, I won't have dinner with you again, because I'm like, don't be ashamed of me. I'm not ashamed of you. You ought to be, oh my God, guess who I had dinner with tonight? That's right. Did you forget? Then up ahead, and you're there too, your reassuring presence coming and going. This is too much, too wonderful. I can't take it all in. See, do you see what he's saying? He's not saying, I'm afraid of you. He's like, this is so wonderful. He sees it as, look how secure I am. You see everything, and you still love me. I've never related to those kind of Christian songs that say things like, I don't know why Jesus loved me. I don't know why. I don't know what he saw in me. I think, well, he loves you because you're a part of him. I loved my kids before they were born. I mean, they didn't have to grow into it. They already had right standing with me just because they were mine. Is there any place I can go to avoid your spirit, to be out of your sight? If I climb to the sky, you're there. If I go underground, and this is what's interesting, this is where in the King James he says, if I might make my bed in hell, you're there. So it's so interesting to me that these words, the word Sheol, got translated in the 1600s as the word hell. And furthermore, if he was talking about the conventional idea of hell, then what he's saying is, I can't even get away from you in hell. I mean, no matter how you interpret this chapter, it's still good news. And another place, David said, King James says, you will not leave my soul in hell. So even if you believe in literal hell, you wouldn't be there indefinitely, because he says, you won't even leave me there if you find me there. That's why, somebody wanted to argue with me one time about ultimate reconciliation. They said, I know what you teach, but I just don't believe that. I said, that's fine. I don't want to argue with you, but let me ask you this. If every knee is going to bow and every tongue is going to confess, when's that going to happen? Well, I don't know. I said, so you think that God's going to send people to hell, but before what you think is the great white throne judgment, he's going to go get them out of hell And just to get his power trip on, he's going to make them say Jesus Lord and then send them back to hell. That's really kind of sad. And furthermore, if that were me, if I were in hell and they told me, you got to come say Jesus Lord, I'd be like, I'm not doing it. I'm already in hell. I'm not going to go say it just to make him feel better. I mean, maybe I've overthought this, but I think, no, you sent me to hell. I'm not saying Jesus, my knee's not going to bow. No, I'm in hell. If it'll get me out of hell, I'll do it. You know what I mean? I mean, I've thought about these things. Like, I would ask the angel that comes to get you, was it going to get me out? If I say, you know, Jesus Lord, am I getting out? Oh no, you're going back to hell. Well, then screw it. I mean, then, pardon me, then what? Then bump that noise. I'm not going. I don't know where that came from. Last night, can I tell them what you said last night? Because it's so funny. Ken's a Southern gentleman. He has all these Southern colloquialisms that are charming to me. I love them, and I, you know, even when I'm kidding with him about it, it's out of affection. Last night, he meant to get something at the store, and he forgot to get it. And he said, "Freaking A!" And I said, "What? What did you just say?" We were laughing so hard. I said, "Where did you start channeling a guy from Brooklyn? Like, what happened?" I said, in nearly 4 years, I've never heard you say it. I don't know why it's so funny. It's just so out of character. Freaking A, okay. So there's that. I don't know. That was just a hoot. Well, thank you for laughing. Usually when I joke about him, y'all clam up on me like, you better not be joking about Ken. I'm like, all right, lighten up, people. I know you love him. I get it. Anyway. He says, if I go underground, you're there. If I flew on morning's wings to the far western horizon, you'd find me in a minute. You're already there waiting. Then I said to myself, oh, he even sees me in the dark. Do you see the tone of this? This is not, I'm hiding from you in the garden sewing fig leaves together. This is just the opposite of that. He says, where can I go from your presence? And it's fine. I'm not trying to get away from your presence. I don't believe in the God of judgment that I'm trying to hide from. He knows it all anyway. And so I don't have anything to hide. Let me tell you, when you finally get a hold of that, it'll pretty much solve your self-esteem issues. I'm not saying there aren't some other things you have to work through, but once you get that centered, that, you know, if you've got some things, I would even go so far as to say, I don't even say if you got some things you're working on, because I don't even think that's valid anymore. Like, I'm trying to be a better person. I just think you have to be, and you come from a center of, this is who I am, and I will learn from my mistakes, and I will learn that there are certain reactions to things that are not beneficial to me, and there are certain things that I could think or say that's going to lower my vibration and take me to a duller frequency, and it's going to keep me from being able to really flow like I want to flow. So I will avoid certain things, but it's not because I'm afraid of God. It's not because I'm afraid I'm going to miss a rapture or go to hell. I don't even think like that. And you couldn't, no matter how many scriptures you throw at me to try to tell me to think otherwise, I already know those scriptures. I've already worked through them. That comes to me, it has no place in me. And once you get that, then you're okay with who you are. You don't have to go around apologizing for yourself. Last night, these guys that took us out, everything was fine. We met them in an Outback, and it was fine. We didn't have to wait in line, but I don't know if their management has told them to apologize. It was the most apologetic, like the hostess apologized like 4 or 5 times for how long it took us to get a seat. And I said, it didn't, we basically just walked in, it was fine. She said, well, like they were just in that mode. I'm just sorry that it took so long. Like, really, it's good. We're in no hurry. It's fine. Table's fine. Everything's great. And I said, wow, she's got to be the most apologetic hostess I've ever met. Well, then the server comes over. He was worse. I'm sorry it took so long. I said, no, it's fine. We're just talking. We're not in any hurry. Like, it's okay. Well, I'm sorry. And I know you guys are like, no, I don't think you understand. We're fine. We're not complaining about anything. It's Saturday night. You got a full house. Go wait on people. We're okay. And he kept apologizing. At one point, we were just tuning him out. We're like, it's okay. I thought I need to throw a glass of water or something. It'll make this guy feel he's really like I'm really ticked off. But what was the point of that? Why was I telling you that? Oh, about just being in apology mode. Once you know who you are, and that God not only approves of you, but He made you like you are. That you're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. The most that can happen is as you learn certain techniques, you will become a better version of yourself. But who you are is just fine, and I mean on every level. Like I told you, work on your body. I'm all for health. I'm in that, not struggle, but I'm in that awareness of watch your weight, all that kind of stuff. I think that's valid, especially after a certain age. But you look fine. You're just going to look a better version of yourself, and you'll be healthier and you'll live long. Do it for that reason, not because you hate yourself because the way you look. You need to look at yourself in the mirror and go, I could lose some pounds, but in the meantime, I'm all right. And I don't want to make it just about the physical, but people are very aware of the physical. I notice it all the time. People who tell me something negative about their physicality that I didn't even notice until they said it. And then once they say it, I'm like, you know what? It's fine. You look fine. Tell the person next to you, you look fine. At night, I'm immersed in the light. It's a fact. Darkness isn't dark to you. Night and day, darkness and light, they're all the same to you. Oh, yes, you shaped me first, inside, then out. You formed me in my mother's womb. I thank you, high God. You're breathtaking. Body and soul, I am marvelously made. That's where the King James says, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I don't have the exact statistics with me, but, at conception, there are literally millions of sperm cells that are released at conception. And they all nearly every one of them dies on contact. But if you've ever seen it under a microscope, there'll be this one little sperm cell that's just, working its way to penetrate that egg cell. And sometimes those little cells fight with each other. And it's amazing that any of this were born, because there's really technically only a few hours during the month that a woman, am I saying too much? I got some kids in here like, oh, y'all get some answers when you, Mommy, what was he talking about? Well, they probably already know. But there's only like a certain window of time that a woman can conceive. It's amazing that the world's as populated as it is. And what that says to me is the very fact that you got here means you had some amazing survival instinct. There's something in you that fought to live, that fought to get here. And I was thinking about this week because, so much has happened this week. I've dealt with just everything, the passing of, I won't say the death, but the passing of someone that I love very much. Even going to the service. And by the way, those of you that came out of the service, thank you for being there. It was a nice representation from Metron. I appreciate it. But even, and I say this with no bitterness at all, but in those kind of settings, I look around and there's a good deal of heartache in that place for me. I mean, there's, people that have said, that I won't dig up the past, but and for the most part, it was fine. I got through it. It's time does heal a lot of stuff. And I talked to a lot of people that, I realize I'm never going to get an apology from them, but it's fine. It doesn't matter anymore. And it's good to see you and blah, blah, blah. But where was I going with that? What did I say right before that? I was saying, yeah, but before I got to the heartbreak, before I checked in the Heartbreak Hotel, what was I saying? Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Larry. He uses the clinical term. You said you're married to an OBGYN. Thank you, Larry. You're right. what I was saying is, thank you. If you got here, you wanted to be here. Now, once you get here, this isn't exactly the way it says it, but there's a place in Job that says, as soon as a man is born, the sparks begin to fly. Life isn't necessarily easy. It's maybe not supposed to be easy. You kind of came in fighting, and there's going to be a little bit of a fight, the whole time you're here. That's why when people say, when someone's at the end of their life, how long do you pray for them and pray for them to survive? I say, well, as long as they have fight in them, as long as they've got a desire to survive, all things are possible. But by the same token, once they say, I'm done, I don't want to fight anymore, then you have to honor those wishes and say, all right, well, they've had enough. But the point is, you fought to get here, and you gotta maybe fight's not the best word, but you've got to make the effort to like, it's not just handed to you. Do you know what I mean? Like, happy people didn't just stumble into happiness. I had a roommate in college one time. He said to me, you just believe the word because everything's good in your life. I said, well, no, everything's good in my life because I believe the word. It was that, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? And it's like people that don't work hard think that other people who are successful are lucky. There's no such thing. Anybody who has anything, I mean, there are some fortuitous things of meeting somebody at the right time, but basically, nobody's had anything handed to them. Not really. Anybody that has anything, they worked for it. It's rare that somebody just stumbles into being gifted, and you've got to exercise the gift. And like yesterday, I didn't have any agenda for it, but I just posted a picture of me signing copies of my last book. I just wanted to. No reason. I just wanted to remember what that's like. And somebody commented that they took a picture of every book I've written in their bookshelf, and she said, "I love everything you've written, and I have it, and I've bought them for for people for gifts. Are you writing one now?" And I said, "Well, I always kind of keep one in my heart and in my mind, but it's comments like this that make me want to stir up the gift." But books don't write themselves. You've got to want to do it. However you discipline yourself, you've got to. It doesn't just happen. So that's why I never resent somebody who's successful, because I think, well, on some level they deserve it. I mean, on some level, and if they didn't fight to get it, they have to fight to keep it. Just because you got it, I could look at Joel Osteen and say, yeah, well, sure, he's got a humongous church because it was big when he inherited it, and his dad gave him $80 million. Well, fine, he could have, if he was an idiot, he could have squandered that in 1 year. So did he have some advantages? Yeah, but there's no doubt, whether I'm a personal fan or not, there's no doubt that he took it to another level. So I'm not going to be the jerk that takes that away. I'd be like, well, you know what? He's doing something right. People are, filling up stadiums, that whether you like him or not, it ain't affecting his success. So, all right, good. You go. You're so much happier when you just realize, oh, I'm doing what I do. You do what you do, and you're awesome. And we don't have to compare. Like, I like to sing. When I hear Chandra sing, I'm not thinking, oh, I need to sound more like that. How do I do? I'm going to listen to that tape. How does she do that? How does she do that stuff? Well, that would be ridiculous. That's what she does. Wouldn't that be, I said that the other day, wouldn't that be sad if I was up here trying to do that? And they'd be like, huh, that sounds like a poor imitation of Shonda Corelli. You got to do what you do and enjoy what somebody else does. And it's not, there's no competition. There shouldn't be competition and insecurity. It's just bogus. It's a waste of time. And I see in all of this, David is saying, body and soul, I'm marvelously made. I worship in adoration. What a creation. You know me inside and out. You know every bone in my body. You know exactly how I was made, bit by bit, how I was sculpted from nothing into something. Isn't that beautiful? And he's saying, you saw it all before I ever came to an altar and got saved. You already You already knew this. I mean, if I got saved or born again, I did that for my own paradigm shift. But you already saw me that way. You already declared the end from the beginning. I was on a plane with a guy one time, and he struck up some conversation that I didn't want to get into. But he said, "Well, let me ask you from what you believe, because when you talk to somebody on a plane and it's a 3 or 4 hour flight, you're going to be stuck in this conversation for a long time." That's why I like this, like put the eye things on. Like it's my way of saying, do not cross this line. But he said, so you don't think you can lose your salvation? I said, no, not really. He said, well, I'm sure you can. I said, well, then when does it happen? Well, like what makes somebody lose their salvation? Well, when they stop praying, they stop reading the word, and they get into sin. I said, well, then what day is it? Like, is it like I didn't pray for, like when is it finally the point where God says, all right, that's it, I'm done? He said, well, I just don't see how there could be if his mercy endures forever, how could there be a cutoff point where he says, that's it? That's why it's so bogus. I was even surprised this at Church of the Now, as enlightened as I thought everybody was. One day I was talking about this idea of the age of accountability. And I said, how many of y'all have ever heard of that? And everybody raised their hand. I said, when is it? And in unison, 3,000 people said 12. And I thought, where did y'all get that? That's not, you have no scripture for it. So what are you saying? Like if somebody died at 11:59 before their actual 12th birthday, like really? And it was already that day on the other side of the plate. I mean, do you really think God's that? Legalism is so silly. I remember back in the 70s, my hair was kind of long, and this, a Pentecostal woman told me, she says, you're not going to get in heaven with hair that long. I said, well, when is it? At what point is it short enough? Does like St. Peter like measure it when you walk in the pearly gate? She says, well, I don't know. You're not going to be part of the bride. I said, so you're saying this is hell and that's heaven. Hell, heaven. Burning in the flames, eternity, living on streets of gold. One bad haircut, eternity. You're in hell. You're in hell with Hitler and Charles Manson, and they go, "What are you in for?" Well, just this much. If I gotten that, like this is eternity in hell, and that's eternal salvation. I mean, I'm sure I've thought about this stuff a lot, but there's some silly stuff that goes down. Even we had a guy, he came speak at churches. Now I didn't invite him. They used the building for something. Some people rented it, and or we let him use it. And I just happened to be in there, and he did an altar call. He said, if you're here and you don't know Jesus and you want to be born again, raise your hand. So there was, I don't know, a couple of people raised their hand. He said, well, if you raise that hand, now you're not, you'll spend eternity in heaven. And I thought, like, at what point is it like hell, 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 heaven? I mean, like what? Really? That's it? Like hell, heaven, hell, hell. Like what if somebody had bursitis in their shoulder and they couldn't raise it? Or what if they'd lost an arm? They were a veteran and they lost an arm in the war. Oh, yeah, you got to raise that hand. There you go. I mean, I know I'm sounding sarcastic, but I grew up with this kind of stuff, and I still hear it sometimes. And I think it doesn't make sense. It would just to me, it would make more sense just to say God loves everybody, and if there's things that aren't worked out here, they'll be worked out on the other side. Because otherwise, none of it makes sense to me. Hell, hell, heaven, hell, heaven, hell, heaven. I mean, I was in one place where they said, "Everybody bow your head, please," and take the hand of the person next to you. If you would like to receive Jesus as your Savior, squeeze the hand of the person next to you. Okay, well, if you squeeze that hand, you're saying, that's it? I mean, honestly, if that's what it takes, I'd rather see like an old school altar service where people get in the altar and scream and holler. At least you feel like there was some, point of demarcation. But a hand squeeze, like, I don't know, was that a squeeze or did you just twitch a little bit? I don't know. I couldn't tell. I mean, do you go to, God's about to send you to hell. And you're like, no, I really squeezed, God. I squeezed it. And he's like, we couldn't tell. We thought it was a squeeze. We did a meter reading on it, and it really didn't qualify as a squeeze. An actual squeeze has a certain amount of pressure, and we think it's just your hand was itching, and you just were trying to scratch a little. I tried to squeeze, but I sprained my hand, and I was trying really hard. I couldn't squeeze. Sorry. And before I get off of it, the problem with that idea is, and it's kind of, and it's not a political statement, but it's kind of what's happening right now with people not understanding Dr. Ben Carson, because he says he's giving a testimony. He's saying, I had this kind of anger where I took a hammer against my mother. And Trump is saying, no, he's pathological. If you take from Carson's evangelical viewpoint, what he's saying is, if any man's in Christ, he's a new creature, passed away. Other people don't understand what they're saying. Wow, you took a hammer. I mean, do you really want somebody in the White House to take a hammer against his mother? So the problem with just saying I can do anything I want to and then ask Jesus to forgive me and I go to heaven, the problem with that is people are never encouraged just to be good. You know what I mean? It's like, well, my righteousness is filthy rags and nothing. Well, no, you ought to be good. You ought to do some good things. To me, it's just easier to believe, God loves everybody and everybody's going to make it. Otherwise, the other stuff just does not make sense to me. It just doesn't. And I'll say this, I don't know why I'm saying this so much. I may have some evangelicals watching today, but people who say, well, what's wrong with her? She just needs Jesus. Let me tell you something. Nothing against Jesus. I love me some Jesus, but I grew up knowing people that were born again, spoke in tongues, that did horrible things. Horrible. I mean, I remember, I'm not laughing, but it was just such an odd thing. I did a prison ministry years ago, and the two men that led worship, one was an ex-Assembly of God pastor, one was an ex-Church of God pastor. The Assembly of God pastor was in prison for molesting young boys for years and years and years. The Church of God pastor had an affair with the secretary and blew her head off with a shotgun because she was going to tell him. And these were, but spirit-filled. Now, you can't tell me Jesus fixed it for him, because he did not. And they should have been in jail. That's why somebody said to me, if you think everybody's saved, are you just saying we should let all the prisoners out of jail? No, I didn't say that. There's people that are dangerous. I think you're saved, but I don't want you in my house. I don't want, you might kill me. Like those aren't the same thing. I didn't plan on getting all that, but I did, and it was good. Like an open book, you've watched me grow from conception to birth. Do you see how important that is? Instead of just beating yourself up over something stupid you did when you were a kid. Yeah, you were a kid. Kids are allowed to do stupid stuff. That's why parenting goes on. I mean, your kids, if you don't know this or not, their brains aren't fully developed till they're 25. Haven't you ever seen your kid? And I think it's, I know some of y'all teenagers, I'm not saying y'all aren't smart. I'm saying we've all been there. Don't you remember, can't you think of some things you did in the early days? You're thinking, that was insane. Why did it? But it never occurred to you that that was dangerous or stupid or whatever. And that's why you need somebody who's not minding your business. They're just saying, I know you don't see the danger in this right now. Like, you know, I'm trying to respect my kids as all adults because they are. But I'm taking Jared to the airport last week to South Africa, and he shows me this building. He said, Christina's looking at that building. A guy wants to back her to put a store in there, which is great. I wanted to have a store, but I know that neighborhood. I said, I'm going to have to talk to her. So last Saturday, I said, Christina, please, would you just let me be a dad for a minute? I know they're gentrifying that neighborhood, and maybe in a couple of years it'll be okay. But right now, I know people that are across the street from there that get held up all the time. And my little 90-pound daughter going in and out of a store at night with money bags in that neighborhood is just, I'm all for you making it, but I'm gonna have to say, oh, hell no. Not there. Now you can say, well, Bishop, in Paris, you know, those people weren't in dangerous neighborhoods. So yeah, so technically there's no safe place. I was in a shooting in this very theater nearly exactly a year ago. You can't avoid it altogether, but you can do a little something, to at least say, well, at least I tried. So, and she got it. She didn't say, why don't you let me grow up? She says, no, actually, you're right. I said, any place these days is dangerous, but that one, I said, I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to be walking in and out of that place at night and closing up a building. I just wouldn't do it. And I can't imagine you doing it. And that's not a statement against, I love Atlanta. I love that neighborhood. I want to see it. I love what's happening, but right, it ain't gentrified yet. Give it a minute. Anyway, all the stages of my life were spread out before you. The days of my life all prepared before I'd even lived one day. Your thoughts, how rare, how beautiful. God, I'll never comprehend them. I couldn't even begin to count them any more than I could count the sand of the sea. Oh, let me rise in the morning and live always with you. And please, God, do away with wickedness for good. And this is what's interesting is, and you murderers, out of here, all the men and women who belittle you, God, infatuated with cheap God imitations. See how I hate those who hate you, God. Now see, David gets indignant here, but look how he ends this up. See how I loathe all this godless arrogance. I hate it with pure, unadulterated hatred. Your enemies are my enemies. Now, David's starting to sound a little self-righteous there. And notice how he catches himself. That's why you got to read. When you read a scripture, read it in. Thank you. And he ends up by saying, investigate my life, oh God. Find out everything about me. Cross-examine and test me. Get a clear picture of what I'm about. See for yourself whether I've done anything wrong. Then guide me on the road to eternal life. So what he's saying is yeah, there's people I want to wipe out. But examine me and examine why I want to do that in the first place. Let me tell you, I wasn't going to make a statement about this, but I think I will. We were talking about last night, and Ken said, why don't they just wipe out ISIS? I said, well, it's hard to do because they're in pockets of places all over. So it's trying to get inside that mindset to figure out where would you even begin to fight them. That's what's so insidious about it. And the other problem is, yeah, there's something in me that says, go find those idiots and bomb the hell out of them. I mean, we all feel that way. But then you think, well, if that's a mindset of people who already are prone to martyrdom and they're celebrated in their culture for being murdered and are worshipped as gods, and they believe they're going to get 60 virgins when they get to heaven. I think, well, there's 365 days in the year. I mean, you're going to run out of that pretty quick. Anyway. I'm sorry. I'm so R-rated today. My bad. But so shooting somebody who already has a death wish sometimes plays into that. I don't know the answer. That's why I'm being quiet about it, because I think, my God, this is a complicated situation. I mean, it really, really is, and it's easy to say, well, I would just go bomb them today. Well, that might not work. And where would you find? I'm not even saying I'm against going to war. I'm just saying I don't know that that's exactly the answer. And that's why you have to vote for the people that you think are right and pray for them and know that they've got, they're in, they don't know everything. I mean, it's the best you can do is, pray, and then your little piece of the world, try to make it as good as you can. That's why even today, Chelsea singing little love songs and stuff, I thought, that's actually a good thing. It's, in a day where there's so much hatred, yeah, sing a little song about love. And if it sounds secular, it's fine. Love, let's celebrate love. Let's celebrate positive feelings to somebody and that sort of thing. I'm saying all of this with Psalm 139 to say, I wouldn't tell you to follow everything about David's life, but there were some things about him that are very attractive. And for me, the thing that most draws me to his story is his openness. I mean, he's not hiding anything, and he's inviting God to say, check me out. And it's not, I'm afraid something bad's going to happen to me. He's saying, you won't leave me even if it got interpreted hell. If I go to hell, you won't leave me there. In other words, you're not going to punish me indefinitely. So I know you want me to be the best that I can be. I was hearing Whoopi Goldberg in an interview this week. She's just written this relationship book, and she's very much about telling the truth. She said, if I say to somebody, does my behind look really big and horrible in these jeans, I want you to tell me the truth. And she said, I hear a lot of people say, no, I want somebody to tell me I look good. She said, I don't understand that. And the interviewer said, why? She said, because I know people are going to be talking behind my back and tweeting about it. I would rather have somebody in my life that I trust enough that will tell me the truth and that I'm secure. Because one thing about her, she's very secure and very transparent about her life. And she's like, no, I gotta still work hard. And, just because I won an Oscar doesn't mean I'm rolling in dough. I gotta still, I gotta work like everybody else. And it's very refreshing when you hear somebody who doesn't say they're perfect, but they're okay with the imperfection. And this is where, if I may bring in the idea of community, it's like Paul saying, the eye cannot say to the hand, I don't need you. There are, like, I know certain limitations about myself, and I know that there are other people in my life that God has brought in that help me, or that I've attracted to myself, that help me in areas where I'm not that strong. And it's fine. I don't have to be strong. I don't have to excel in everything. And that's when you've got a healthy relationship or healthy marriage, when you realize, I'm not going to call this person my better half, but they do compliment me in areas, and they provide something that I don't really have, and it's fine that I don't have it. It's not that I'm an incomplete person. It just means that, wow, how fortunate am I that I ended up with this person who balances me out in this way. And it's that's one of the differences sometimes are great, because it just works. So it seems like my teaching this month is, I keep trying to move it in one direction, and it sort of keeps going in a different direction. So I'm not gonna fight with that. Self-discovery isn't just it's not something that Buddhists talk about. It's something that everybody should be finding out what makes me tick, but not in a way that you think I got to get this right because something bad's going to happen to me. And even for the reaping and sowing piece, which I believe in that. I believe in karma. I believe in all that kind of stuff. But I also believe David said, goodness and mercy follow me all the days of my life. And that to me is damage control. Like I've left some death and destruction in my path, and thank God, goodness and mercy come through and cover me and make, they got my back, literally. You have to live with other people. I'm not encouraging you to say, this is who I am, deal with it, because that's not the way the world works. Several times this week I've been in really heavy traffic, and there's this thing in your head where you go, why are these other people on this road? Everything will be fine if they weren't on this road. And then I think to myself, you know what? It's their road too. They're trying to get, as much as I want to believe all these roads were paved just for me, they were not. And I'm probably in front of somebody who is thinking, my God, I wish he would. At least I do try to be aware of it. Like if I'm the one, the first one at the red light, I'm looking at it because I know everybody's waiting to go. Let's go. So I'm very much about, we got to share this road. Let's be a team. There is no I in team. But I've I don't say talk myself off the ledge, but even we just redid our bathroom, and it took longer than I had planned. Like I got I got this quartz countertop, and the company ran out of quartz, so they had to recut it. So it took like many more weeks than we had planned. And then when the guys came to install it, they said, "Do you have a plumber?" And I said, "Why do I need a plumber?" "To put the sink in." I said, "I thought y'all put that. I thought that's what I paid for." That y'all, "Oh no, we don't do the sink." You gotta be kidding me. Fortunately, Ken can put the sink in. Okay, fine. So they drill the hole. He comes in and he says, "They didn't make the hole big enough." I said, "You've got to be kidding me." And I can't get in touch with the guy. I'm leaving hostile messages on him. I said, "You made the hole too small." And I started to get really upset about it. And I said, "You know what? There are people in the world with actual problems, and this is not a problem." Was it an aggravation that I had to shave one morning in the kitchen sink? Yeah. But I have running water. And you know what I mean? It was just like, get a little grip. And it came together in a few hours, and it was fine. And, and I love it. But I'm glad I'm to that place where if I feel myself getting upset about something, I can have a reality check. This just is not that big a deal. Is it obnoxious? A little bit. But the way I decide to look at it is, well, I'm doing this in phases. So I'm getting more enjoyment that every time I walk in here, it looks a little better. Instead of all at once, it's somewhat improved. And so I just decide to enjoy it that way. And everything was fine. All of that comes from being centered, like knowing I'm okay. Life is challenging, but it's good. And, the parts that I got to work at to find my balance, it's worth it. It's worth it. And every day is valuable. If you have anybody in your life that loves you and cares for you, you're so blessed. And, you never take it for granted. And I don't. Every time I see y'all driving here, I'm really appreciative. Like, wow, that's awesome that I try to make it worth your while, but I appreciate that you came. I've said all that before, but I think it's important that you know that. And I don't yell at you if you're not here. I like when you are here, but I don't yell at you if you aren't. I'm like, well, I want you to be here because you want to be here. And if I'm not every minute going, "Where are you? What's on? Where are you?" I don't want to be that guy. I don't want you to be like, "Oh my God, he's texting us again." I mean, after you're gone for a couple of Sundays, I will probably, if I'm used to seeing you all the time, I probably will go, "Hey, just want to make sure y'all okay." But as far as, "Why weren't you at church today?" He sees you in your sleep. I don't want y'all driving here like, "Dear God, we got to go to church," because he will be on our tail if we don't. You're happy we're here. I don't want that. You got to want to see me. And I want to see you. Let's all stand. Let's run this. Who's gonna be back at the box for checks? Is that Rod? You got those, Rod? Okay. Then let's run this, especially for the streamers. We had between 200 and 300 streamers last week, so we've got a lot of people watching. So this is for you guys. Go ahead if you'll run this. We're still new ones still coming.
Contributing at Metron is quick and easy. Simply text the amount you'd like to contribute to 404-620-5044. Once you've sent the amount you'd like to give, you will receive a link. Clicking the link will take you to a one-time registration form. This will make the contribution process even easier in the future. Once you've filled out the information form, you will then see a successful registration and donation page. You can now give anytime by simply texting an amount to this number. To set up recurring contributions, log on to visionthenow.com and click Simple Give. We have more information on how to do this available for you in the back of the room. Thank you for your investment in Metron.
Easy peasy. If you're making a check, make it JESM, and they'll take that. If you have cash, I want you to bless somebody with it, pay it forward. This week, I didn't realize people did this, but I was going through the drive-thru at a Starbucks. And I got up to the window and I handed the guy my phone to pay for it with the app. And he said, the woman in the car, he said, yours is already covered. I said, why? He said, the woman in the car got it. I said, who was it? He said, I don't know. She just paid it forward. So it was on Veterans Day. So I said, is this a Veterans Day thing? Because there's nothing on my car that looks like a veteran. But apparently a lot of people do that. I mean, I'm always helping. We're always helping panhandlers and buy people meals. I've been doing that forever. But it was just, I don't know. It was only like $8, but it was like really kind of nice. It's like, oh, well, that's so cool. And when there's a lot of darkness going on, every little ray of light really does mean something. So I would encourage you to do that. Pay it forward to somebody. If you can't afford a big expensive meal, and buy somebody a cup of coffee. It's a nice gesture, and somebody will appreciate it. Did you get something out of this today? Of course you did. If you're going to that thing today, that we can get you the address, and if you are, I'll see you over there. I know a lot. We've all had a busy week. After I go to this thing today, I'm gonna take a nap. That's what I'm gonna do. But I speak blessing to you, wellness, prosperity, peace of mind. Of course, we pray for the people in Paris. We send our thoughts and whatever we can do to make that a better situation. I pray for those in leadership that they know what to do and how to handle this situation. I pray for our world. I pray for the healing of our world, and that not that religion will be annihilated, but that people will be enlightened enough to know how to put it in perspective and not kill each other over different religious ideologies. And I'm not grandiose enough to think that Metron will fix that, but I think it's a part of it. I think us doing what we do every Sunday at least pushes back against religion a little bit, and at least makes a difference, and at least gives an alternative to people who have been battered by religion and abused by it. I just speak freedom from oppression of any kind, that you are free, that you're happy, you don't feel guilty about being happy, you don't feel guilty about being successful, that you walk in love, that you are a giver, that you are a peacemaker, and you are blessed because of it. It is well with your spirit, soul, and your body. And you wake up tomorrow saying, this is the day the Lord has enabled me to make. I will rejoice and be glad in it. God bless you. Go in peace.
I'll tell